For this video, we're working on the sheet called Summary using a Function. In the last video, we saw how to link a formula across our sheets to create a summary. This can also be done using a function, and it's quicker to use a function. So we're going to do the same thing again, adding up the data from quarter 1 to quarter 4, displaying the summary on this sheet, but this time using the sum function. Click on to cell B5 and then click on the AutoSum button. There are no figures for it to sum, so the calculation stays empty. All we have to do now is to go ahead and click onto the quarter 1 sheet and select cell B5. Once we've got that done, we then hold down the Shift key on the keyboard and click on the quarter 4 sheet, then stop and take a look up into the formula bar. It reads equals the sum of quarter 1 to quarter 4 B5. So it's summarizing the B5s all across the 4 quarters. Now obviously this can only work if all the data on each of our sheets are structured identically, which they are. By the way, I'm using the term linking as this is how most people refer to it, but just to let you know that a reference that refers to the same cell or range of cells on multiple sheets is properly called a 3D reference. Okay, so that's it. We can now go ahead and click on the tick, which will accept it and return us to the sheet where the calculation started. Let's fill handle down, then fill handle across, and put on currency and widen any columns where necessary. Isn't that lovely and simple? You can see why I prefer to create a link across sheets using a function rather than a formula. But for that to happen, I had to be very conscious about the way that I set up that data in the first place. For our next video, we'll look at what happens when we calculate from one workbook to another, as it requires just a little bit more work than you might expect. If you're moving on to that next video called Calculate Across Workbooks Using a Formula, then you can keep this workbook open.